Do you know someone who's insightful but never really speaks up? Sometimes the most influential leaders are the ones that go unnoticed. They're your everyday people. They may be your neighbors, your peers, or even yourself. Though they may be unnoticed until now, these everyday people will be unmuted through this project. This show will feature some of Knoxville's most standout leaders, including faculty, staff, students, and anyone in the area. We will figure out the tricks to becoming a standout leader, an impactful community member, and ultimately, someone that leaves people better than they found them. I'm Grant Thornham, and I believe the best stories are already silently being told. Now, all they have to do is be unmuted. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Unmuted. The show focused primarily on leadership, but today we're going to bring in yet again another standout entrepreneur. So, Max, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, for everyone that doesn't already know you, why don't we do like a quick intro, summarize who you are, kind of what you're involved in, and all of that.
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore at UT studying supply chain and entrepreneurship. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I think, I guess the reason you have me on here is I've got a couple entrepreneurial startups of my own that
Mm,
I've been building slash developing over the past years slash months. So,
okay.
yeah,
Well, that's wonderful. What year are you currently?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore currently. What were you involved in freshman year if it wasn't entrepreneurial? Like, were you in any clubs or anything, or was it always?
No, my freshman year I sort of branched out and tried a lot of things.
Mm,
I'm in the wakeboarding club.
nice.
I think I joined the finance club for a bit. I wasn't a fan of that,
Okay.
but I found my sort of calling in the entrepreneurship scene at UT. So part of that is the entrepreneurship club. Part of it is the Anderson Center for
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So that's a center in Haslam. So I'm an ambassador for them, which I loved. I found that at the end of my first semester, and that's how I got really interconnected into entrepreneurship.
Did you find the club that way as well?
No, I found the club just at tabling. I
Okay,
knew I
nice.
wanted to do entrepreneurship just because, throughout high school, I had some preneurs of my own, and I always loved that idea of having my own business someday.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually think it's kind of rare that you found the Anderson Center early because I feel, bro, it is hidden. It is a hidden gem in
Yes,
Haslam that I feel
yes.
like a lot of people don't know about. But how did you even begin to? Did you know coming in that that was something you were gonna want to discover or look into, or did you find it naturally? What did that look
I
like?
think when I toured UT as a high schooler, I remember walking past it
Mm,
and then being like talking about the Shark Tank competitions. I was like, wow, that sounds incredible to me. Like I love the idea of that. So first day of classes, obviously, I said, hey, I'll check this place out. I remember seeing it on a tour. I went upstairs, introduced myself. Didn't really get involved until their first pitch competition where I was like,
mm-hmm.
oh, wow, this is fun. I happened to place second, received $1,000 check, so I was
That is
pretty excited about
crazy.
that. Later down the road, they asked me, they were like, hey, you're here a lot. You might as well become an ambassador for that. That's how I got really connected. So I've been an ambassador for almost a year and a half now.
Dude, it's wonderful because it's good experience to have early on too.
Oh yeah, most of my fellow ambassadors are all upperclassmen,
Right.
seniors graduating.
Of
So
course.
it was nice to get in that family of like-minded people, but they're all older than me, so they have more experience. I've learned so much over the past 18 months from those people.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about the center is just being able all of the different ways you can learn from not only the students but the people that come in and do coaching as well.
Oh, 100%.
But I am curious. This I was going to bring this up later, but I think it makes sense to start with it. So, before you introduce what you're currently working on in your main business, what was it like for you when you were younger? Did you have businesses when you were younger, like the kind of, selling candy out of your coat pocket sort of deal, or what
So
was it?
I was never one of the guys that took my business to school.
Right.
I do remember the kids that would come with the backpacks of candy and sell them for $5 a candy bar. I was never one of those guys, but I think middle school, I remember I used to be big on selling like, or car washes, things like that in the neighborhood, just knocking on people's doors. Hey, can I mow your lawn, whatnot. Then freshman year of high school, I did Nextdoor. If you're familiar with Nextdoor, it's like a neighborhood Facebook type app. And right now, like I looked back a couple months ago, it's way super oversaturated with hundreds of high schoolers saying, hey, who needs help? But back then, nobody was on it. And I was
Right.
the only one on it. And I would post and say, hey, who needs help with random jobs? I was selling myself.
Right.
And I used to make a good amount of money doing I would bike to people's houses, help them move stuff out, help them pressure wash. Literally any task you can think of, I would do for them. And then for a little bit, I did trash can cleaning. So we would get people's dumpster bins,
Yep.
pressure wash them, clean them. It wasn't really viable in the long run because we didn't have like a truck or anything. So it required me to hold them on the back of my bike and bring them all the way to my house. It was a lot. And then I think my main venture throughout high school that taught me a lot was golf balls. So I lived on a golf course neighborhood.
Okay.
And originally my buddy and I would always go look around the woods and whatnot for old golf balls, and we just go hit them ourselves. And I realized, like, wow, some of these are nice if you play golf. Pro V1s are $5 a ball, right? So we realized, wow, these are good condition balls that just got lost. Let's wash them, let's clean them, let's sell them back to the golfers. Eventually, we scoured through all the woods on this 36-hole course, got all the balls, then we're like, shoot, where can we get more? So I went diving in the ponds. So I got snorkel
No
equipment,
way.
got full gear on, fins and everything. We go diving in the ponds, gloves, underwater flashlight, hundreds of golf balls.
Yeah.
Like those big 10-gallon buckets filled with golf balls in my garage. Thousands of them.
Oh my gosh.
And over time, I sold them back to the golfers in a couple different ways. We'd go out during tournament days, sell them off the back of a golf cart. I had a little stand in my backyard where golfer would put cash in the little bucket, pull out a golf ball. Basically trusting them, right? And it was fun. It was exciting. I learned a lot doing it. My parents got mad because the ponds were disgusting. So I'd come home and have mud and shit everywhere, but it was a lot of fun. So,
dude, that is a really unique idea.
Yeah. There were not many people, and it got to the point too where I could pay some of the other kids in my neighborhood, like, hey, for every ball you find, I'll give you 25 cents. I would sell it for $1, right?
Yeah.
That didn't happen as much, but down the road, here and there.
Man.
And eventually, the business died off, and what did we do? I think we donated 1,000 balls to like Goodwill, and then we took the other 1,000 to the driving range and just had fun with them. So
that's wonderful, bro.
it was a good time.
What a unique, like, how do you even come up with that concept? Just seeing all the lost balls out there?
I think it was, I mean, I've never played golf in my life. I played one round of golf. I was not a big fan. I'm terrible at it. I swing it like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So like I'm not a good golfer. But one of my closest friends in the world, like almost a little brother to me, best golfer you'll ever meet. He's going D1 for golf.
Oh, wow.
Him and I sort of partnered up. I had the idea behind it, the fun, collect the balls. He had the golf knowledge.
Right.
He was able to tell me this ball's $5, this ball's $1, this ball's 20 cents, keeper, scratch that, all this stuff.
Okay.
So him and I worked together in this business, and it worked out pretty well. So.
Yeah, and I feel like you were able to probably come up with develop some basic ideas of what it means to own your own business just through that
100%,
alone.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that was sort of the first time I ever realized, like, wow, you have to reinvest money, right?
Right.
As a middle schooler, you get your first ever $20 bill. You're like, I want to go spend it on shit. I want to spend it on candy. I want to spend it on girls, whatever. I finally learned in that golf ball business, like, if we reinvest it, we can continue to grow it. So I remember reinvesting in a golf ball cleaner. I remember reinvesting in brand new signs. So that was the first ever experience I had where it's like, you get money, you reinvest it in the business. That's how you grow at an exponential rate.
I love that. That's honestly a great tidbit of advice, even from the first thing that you really got into. But I think it also what's interesting is it already shows kind of the type of person that you are. You know what I mean? You were on Nextdoor before anyone else did it. You had your own business in high school that was way different from anything else I've ever heard before anyone else even thought of it. So I think that's a perfect way to even translate into like what you're working on now and introducing your business so they understand what you're up to right now.
Yeah, so one business that a lot of people have heard of and seen all over the place, and it's called Rise. And basically, what we are, I built an alarm clock app on your phone, very similar to your traditional iOS alarm clock, but the caveat is there's no snooze button, and the only way to turn the alarm off is to get up out of bed and tap it against a little pod. So I guess you can show what it looks like on the screen. Right?
Yeah, I can pop it up.
Right there.
Yep.
I don't have one with me, but the idea is you place the pod on your refrigerator, your bathroom counter, your shower door, whatever, somewhere that's away from your bed. And then you can still use your phone as your alarm next to your bed, but you can't turn the phone off until you take steps out of bed. So there's science that shows, like, there's studies that show when you stand up out of bed, you're 90% more likely to stay out of bed. So it gets users walking out of bed. We completely eliminated the snooze button, so got rid of that as well. And the app is completely free. You just have to buy the pod one time. So
Wow. And like what a unique idea to start with. And I know you've already had some success with it, which we'll touch on. But first things first, the main thing that people might be wondering, who are trying to become entrepreneurs, where does the idea come from? How do I create something that's going to work? So walk us through that process of how do you even come up with an idea like that?
So I'm always ideating. Like, I have a little pocketbook I carry around, and
Yeah.
every time I think of an idea, I just jot it down. And that's a relatively new thing I've been doing. But for me, this idea sort of came from a couple different things. I'll say three things. First, I was having trouble waking up. So genuinely, I was a chronic snoozer.
Right.
So I realized there's a million things out there to help me stop snoozing. Rather than pay for one, let me try and find a way to do it myself. At the time, I was getting into vibe coding, learning how to code iOS apps. So I was like, look, I'll just try to code an app that helps me get up on my own without having to pay for one. At the same time, I was doing I call this the Chick-fil-A story. So those of you that are students at UT know that when you order Chick-fil-A on the Grubhub app, they won't start making it until you physically tap this little sign that you're at the Chick-fil-A. So you order in between classes thinking like, okay, I'll pick it up in between my classes, but then they don't even start making it till you get there. You're late for class, you don't get your Chick-fil-A if you have a 20-minute window. So I realized, like, shoot, this isn't viable. So I figured out what the technology was to tap, and I realized it's just basic NFC tech. So I went in one day and I made a copy of their little tag and I put it on a keychain, like an NFC keychain on my backpack. So then I could order Chick-fil-A on my app. It would say, hey, tell us when you're here. Just tap my phone in my backpack. I would skip the whole line.
Oh my gosh.
That way I'd get to Chick-fil-A. My order would be ready to go. Same thing for Einstein Bagels in the morning. That place is packed.
Right.
Why not skip the line while I'm in class?
That's wonderful.
So I had been doing that all last semester, and I realized, what if we could use that same location verification to for this alarm clock idea? So I was like, hey, I ordered a pack of NFC tags. I started coding, figured it out. People loved the idea, and then that became Rise. So
that is crazy. So you were able to combine kind of the need for the alarm with the coding and tech that Chick-fil-A was using.
Yes.
Which is crazy that you put two and two together, because I had no idea that's how it worked either. But beyond the idea, so first of all, how long ago did you start this?
So this all happened, I was working on it. I'll give you a little rundown. So I was working on this in October, and early November, it was sort of just a side project. I hadn't even thought of like turning it into a business. I purely just wanted it for myself. And then I found this, I had been subscribed to this newsletter, this company out in California that always like features entrepreneurship stories. And they were hosting a hackathon. So they were like, hey, everyone join the Zoom call this day. International, like this company's international. They're like, hey, we're hosting a 10-day hackathon with AI tech company out in Silicon Valley. Join the Zoom if you want information. So I joined the Zoom. There's 40,000 people in this.
No.
I mean, they had to disable the chat because there were bots from India and Indonesia.
Oh my gosh.
Not many people had their camera on except one person, or a couple people had their camera on. But I see another guy in the corner little screen on Zoom wearing a Tennessee hat. I'm like, out of 40,000 people on this Zoom, there's another Tennessee kid.
Right.
And he obviously he saw the same thing about me because I think I had put in the chat that I was from Knoxville. And he reached out to me. We both happened to be in the Entrepreneurs Club but had never met before. Later that night we met up and I told him about the idea and he was like, let's make it an actual business. So then we started this 10-day hackathon hosted by this company. We happened to win $2,500 for their
Wow.
Build in Public Awards. So over the 10 days, we gained the most like social media recognition, the most traction, whatnot. It was called the Build in Public Award. So that really jump started our growth. We filed to become a legal entity with the state, and my partner Dan Fishman and I started Rise. So it
That's
was a good
crazy.
time. That was early December.
Okay. So you've had immense growth over this was December of this year or
Yeah,
2025.
2025. Yeah, so
Wow.
4 months ago.
4 months ago, and you've already carried it so far. So walk me through can you explain the 10-day thing a little bit more? What does that look like?
So there was a company called Bolt, and they do this like AI vibe coding is what it's called. And they were doing this marketing ploy. It was like, hey, everyone in the world is welcome to join this competition. You get 10 days to use our software to come up with a business. So we used their software to build out our landing page. We entered the competition. They happened to like our idea in the top 10, and we also happened to get the most validation for the idea. So it was their way of sharing with people like, hey, here's what you want to use our product for, starting a business. Here's a competition, so we're going to jumpstart that.
Okay.
And we happened to win, and $2,500 was crucial to our growth.
Absolutely. So did a lot of that 2,500 go right back in, like you were saying?
All of it went right back in, but we wasted a lot. So we were sort of in this like almost flow state of, right, we're building. We spent 10 days so dialed in. I mean, there's a story. Dan literally was on his way to Nashville for a job interview. I audibly heard his tires skirt and he spun back to Knoxville.
Oh my gosh.
But like we really hit flow state just building this thing. But once we got $2,500, we were like, all right, let's spend it on stuff. So we rushed into buying a 3D printer. We got the wrong one. Cost $800, so it was expensive for us. And then it turned out to be the wrong one. By that time, we realized that we couldn't return it. There was no return policy, so we were like, shit.
Right.
Now we're stuck with an $800 printer that doesn't work. There were a lot of things we learned along the way that we probably should have done more research before we spent the money. But we spent all December and January building it, and then we launched mid-January.
Okay. So there were definitely bumps in the road, and I'm sure there's been a lot in the past 4 months. And I want to make sure that that we relate it all back to leadership. So I'm curious, coming up with the idea, going through these challenges of, getting the money but investing it maybe the wrong way. What does it teach you about being a leader in business? Because an entrepreneur is a leader. That's what Alex and I kind of covered. So at the very least, what have you taken away from running your own company in terms of leadership too?
I think the biggest thing in being I think, yes, entrepreneurship is leadership in a sense, but it really depends on your role, right? I think that so I have two partners, Dan and Colin.
Right.
Incredible partners. I mean, they are phenomenal at everything that I'm bad at, which is a lot. But I think leadership aspect is all about like I said, realizing what I'm really bad at and finding the right people to complement me, right? Finding a good partners. I could never work with another version of myself. I work with Dan because we're almost opposites in a way.
Right.
I'm good at some stuff, he's not. He's great at some stuff, I'm not, right? It's that idea of knowing that you're not the best at everything in the world and that other people are better than things at you, and not trying to compete against them, but trying to work with them and alongside them. So I think that's a huge aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I'll say is a lot of people ask, like, I think there's this stigma around like college kids with their own ideas of what if it fails, right? Like, yes, I have a great idea, but I don't really want to pursue it because it costs money, it costs time, it costs effort. For me, I think it's always about believing in yourself and being I don't want to say cocky, but knowing, like, if you're really adamant about an idea, knowing, like, believing in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a fine line of being super, what's the word? Of trusting in yourself and thinking this is a good idea, I can do this, but without crossing into that arrogant, cocky douchebag. You know what I mean? I
Absolutely.
think if you can peak that without crossing the line, I think that's excellent, and that's really how you are able to become a good leader, is believing in yourself but not being super arrogant, and staying humble while also being a leader.
Right, because if you were to put yourself ahead of your co-owners, how
Founders,
yeah,
co-founders, yeah.
co-founders, then there might be some issues there because they might pick up on that, right? So I absolutely love that. Always staying level with everyone else, but believing that you can make it happen.
Yeah, I think.
That
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I think another thing is knowing when the right time for things is. That's
Mm,
something I think I'm pretty good at, is understanding when I should be delegating stuff and when I should be doing stuff on my own, and when
mm,
I've always gotten compliments on I know what to say and when to say it. I think that's a good trait that a leader has, is being able to delegate without seeming bossy. You know what I mean?
mm.
I don't want to say, Dan, you go do this, Colin, you go do this, but sometimes that's what needs to be done, right? So I think a great leader can delegate and tell people what to do without coming off as bossy asshole. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I think that's something that I've slowly gotten better at over the time has gone on.
Yeah. So did you start the idea with some ability to delegate, or was it all like from fresh ground level zero for you, or did the golf business help you
I've
be?
always been someone that's preferred to work alone. And as I got to school and as I started some of these entrepreneurial ventures,
Mm-hmm.
I began to realize, so my parents call, they say I think I'm a know-it-all. And yes, it is one of my biggest flaws, is I like to think that I know everything. I know I don't. But over the past 18 months, I've really begun to realize, wow, I'm surrounded by so many of the most brilliant minds ever. Why not learn from them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yes, I'm a talker. Yes, I like to be loud, but I've gotten better over the past 18 months at taking time and listening, taking advice from people, which I was never good at in high school and middle school. Taking advice.
Right.
I hated listening to my parents talk. And I realized if you are able to, I guess, lower yourself to like a certain level, having team members, having people working alongside you is so much more valuable than working alone,
Mm-hmm.
right? So remind me, what was the initial question you asked? I
Just
got
in
carried
terms of
away.
that skill of being able to delegate without being arrogant, and did you have some sort of baseline of already having done that with the golf business, or is that something that you kind of had no experience with and then you had to learn how to do it
I
once you
think
started
I did
Rise?
have some experience coming into this. I have always my parents are in the hospitality industry, so they own restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up working in the restaurant since I was probably 13 years old.
Wow.
And I used to get in trouble a lot. I was the owner's kid that could go on his phone at work and not
Yeah.
get in trouble, and
Yeah.
eat food in the back and not get in trouble. And then there was sort of this pivot, like junior, senior year of high school, where I really saw, like, wow, these are my family's restaurants, right? I should be a spitting image of my dad, who's worked so hard to build this.
Mm.
And I never got promoted to like manager or shift lead or anything, but if I saw my colleagues and whatnot doing things that if I was the owner I wouldn't like to see, I became good at delegating and telling people what to do while I was on the same level as them and
Right.
not seeming. For me, it's always been about, rather than telling people what to do, encouragement,
Right.
right? So I think that was a huge help in molding me into this better version that I've become and I'm continuing to become. So yes, prior to Rise, I think I had a little bit of experience, but definitely working alongside Dan and Colin has boosted that. As in, we all delegate to each other. If Dan has things that Colin and I need to get done, he'll tell us. If Colin has things, vice versa, we'll tell each other. Like, look, I need you to do this, and we all listen to each other. We all do it for each other. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys all play on the same field too, which
Yeah.
I think helps a lot as well.
Yes. Someone the other day said, "Oh, is it nice being Colin's boss?" I was like, I'm not his boss.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I have the title of CEO and he is the marketing guy, we're not each other's boss. We're all equity partners. We all own the company. We're all on the same playing field. So I think that's a great way to put it. Is just level with each other.
Absolutely. And in that way, I think I love how you've been able to separate the title from what it really is, because I think the titles can make people think that, or can make people feel like they're not, or they're less than you because you have the CEO title. But the fact that you three are able to communicate so well is probably what helps it work so smoothly, if I had to guess. So, but with that said, I think it's time that people get to know Max personally. You know what I'm saying? The face behind the company. So, I'm curious if, what are you passionate about outside of your business and school? What do you like to do on your free time?
So I will say my biggest passion does revolve around building stuff.
Mm,
And I don't mean hammer and nails building stuff, but I mean this going from ideation to something tangible, right?
right.
I've always loved that. Even as a kid, I was on a robotics team. I loved seeing the ideas turn straight into an actual robot, right? And almost to an extent, I like to think of myself, I'm not good, but as an artist in a way.
Mm,
Not a painting artist, not a musician, but someone that has this creative mindset and is able to act on it. So that's my biggest passion, is just being able to take thoughts and ideas and bring them into the world. Besides that, though, I like doing a lot of stuff outdoors. I'm a big water guy. So anything that has to do with water, count me in. I was a high diver in high school for 3 years.
okay.
So I love that. I'm a scuba diver, so I have my advanced open water scuba license. I love to surf. I love wakeboarding. I'm on Vol Wake, which I mentioned, which
Yep.
is super exciting. I love to swim. Any cliff jumping into the water, doing flips off bridges, anything that has to do with water, I love it. Which honestly leads me into one of my big projects I'm working on right now as well, which is scuba diving. I've been diving for 5 or 6 years now, and over the past 6 years, I've even seen how much global warming is impacting our planet, right?
Yeah.
Over half the coral reefs on the planet have died over the past 10 years, which is insane, right? There's coral bleaching, which turns the coral white. There's invasive species. All these things you hear about in the news, it's actually happening. I've seen it firsthand in the water. Which leads me into a project I'm working on right now, if you don't mind me talking about it.
Absolutely,
So,
please.
there's a competition called Red Bull Basement. It's hosted by Red Bull. It's their version of like a cool business idea challenge. And I heard about it and I was like, "Oh wow, this seems very cool." Going to national finals, going to world finals, like that'd be so cool. There's 50,000 applicants. So I was sort of like, I'll submit an idea, why not? I looked back at the past winners and they all happen to be sustainable types of ideas, right? Turning feces into water, turning
Right.
solar energy into cars, whatever it was. So I started doing research on like, what is something I'm passionate about, the scuba diving? What's a problem I've seen? The coral reefs dying.
Right.
How could we fix that? And I dug into this rabbit hole of just all these different things. And I came across some research that if you use underwater sounds and basically play sounds of a healthy reef at a dying reef, it'll draw life back to it.
Really?
So after a bunch more research, I realized, wow, to an extent, this is actually true. It could work / has worked, and I realized with the technology we're using nowadays, we can enhance that by 100x, right? So I came up with the idea to basically use these underwater speaker systems, very similar to all the speakers around us. Not actually. They don't look like JBL speakers and whatnot. But you're using underwater speakers and you're connecting them with it's basically an array. A speaker, a hydrophone, which is an underwater microphone, and then a computer that has AI in it, a large language model. And if you can use that entire array underwater. It'll play sounds of a healthy reef. And not only are you just playing one sound, though, the hydrophone is able to pick up on so many things. And over time, this AI is able to learn what sounds are best for what times of the day, what temperatures, what water currents going in and out, what times of the year, what specific oceans, the Atlantic, Pacific. So over time, that AI learns that, and it best tunes the speakers to playing the best sounds to revitalize the coral reefs. So an example I like to give is, let's say reef over here in the Pacific Ocean is dying, right? And yes, we're not going to solve the core problem of global warming on a mass scale of 7,000 or 7 billion people.
Right.
It's hard for Joe Blow to solve global warming, right? But what we can do is we can slow down the effects of global warming. We can reverse some of the effects of it. So you got your coral reef out in the Pacific Ocean. It's dying. You realize, okay, over time, this AI has learned through billions of coral reefs. The AI realizes, okay, the best revitalization track for this is first, you want to draw back the sea anemones, and then you want to draw back the clownfish, and then you want to keep away the lionfish and whatnot. There's all these different things that factor into it that this AI would learn. You can play sounds that specifically relate to that process. You play a certain hertz acoustic sound that might draw in the coral larvae first, the sea anemones, whatnot. There's a lot of different things that factor in, but the idea is creating this almost network and underwater brain of technology to help these coral reefs.
That is... I'm speechless. That is incredible.
So I applied to this Red Bull competition.
Right.
I just found out last week that I had placed as a semi-finalist. So I got to submit a video pitch. And then I found out that I placed as a national finalist, 15 out of 40,000 applicants.
Oh my gosh.
And I get to go to Detroit, Michigan for the national finals in 2 weeks.
No way.
Go pitch to a panel of judges. If that goes well, I get top 3 out of 15. I then get to go to the World Finals in San Francisco in June for a chance to win a lot of money.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of grant money to continue to pursue the idea.
Yeah. That, I mean, bro, what is, have you taken an IQ test before?
I've not.
You got to be up there, bro. This is some genius level shit right here. I mean, this is like, how do you even connect it? You're very good at connecting things from the two ideas that I've just observed. Like, you connected your passion with the way to do it, with the technology to do it, and then you're good at communicating it too. It's just insane.
Thank you.
So, I mean, that'll be a fun one to pursue as well. What are your thoughts on, because you're already busy trying to grow Rise. Now you have this brand new idea that's really just, I'm sure you've been thinking about it a lot and you've spent a lot of time on it already. What does the time management look like between these two moving forward?
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Rise, I've got the coral reef thing, which I haven't named yet. I've got a couple other projects I'm working on. I've got school.
Right.
I've got trying to maintain a social life. I like to have fun on the weekends. I like playing sports, whatnot. I've got a flag football game tonight. It is definitely a struggle managing things. But like I mentioned earlier, my passion is turning ideas into something tangible.
Mm-hmm.
My passion is not building a business and then operating it for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I love exiting. I love getting in and getting out, moving on to the next. So I think that's the biggest thing is I had the idea for Rise. I validated it. I built it. We launched it. We went from $700 in February to $7,000 in March. Like, it's growing.
Yeah.
Now I realize, look, time to hand off the reins to my partners that are better at the operating, better at the marketing. I'm not good at the basic day-to-day operations. I'm not good at the marketing. That's why I brought on 2 partners that are phenomenal at that. So it's almost like I did my part in the 6 months of ideation to tangible.
Right.
Now hand the reins to these other guys that are much better at this part of it so I can continue to work on the next one. And I'm not completely throwing in the towel on Rise, but I'm saying my work can go from 110% to maybe 80% now because these guys are better at the stage of the business that we're in now. And they know, hey, I have these other ideas I want to work on. They know that I'm overly ambitious and take on more than I can handle. But like I said, I'm able to delegate more to them, which opens up time to pursue new ideas like this one.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious because I feel like there is something that I remember hearing just in terms of a career path. What would that look like if you were just the idea generator, or if you were just creating that idea and making it something real and then just doing that 20 times during your career time? Like, is that a possibility for you, or where do you see that?
People ask where I see myself in 10 years. I
Yeah.
have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be something like I'm working a basic supply chain internship this summer. It could be something like that. It could be I built a business, I scaled it, I sold it. I built a new one, I scaled it, I sold it. I have no clue. My dream is to, yes, I love this idea of ideating, turning it into something physical, getting out, moving on to the next. I do love that idea. There's no security behind that, though. Your ideas could fail.
Right.
I had 10 failure ideas before Rise, right? It's almost a luck thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, there's no security behind that. So, in all honesty, I don't know where I'll be in 10 years.
I don't think you should have a plan.
I'm a very go with the flow type of person. My parents aren't a big fan of it. They like, what's your plan? What's your date? What's your deadline? I'll cross the bridge when I get to it, right? So,
absolutely. And you have the capacity to do that too, because you could come up with an idea tomorrow that might hit again, and you just never know. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, man, I think also we've talked about this. Kenna works in the Anderson Center as well.
Yes.
And Kenna told me on the podcast that, having a 5-year plan, she said to ditch it. That was her advice, was actually to not have a 5-year plan, because she's in a similar situation where I think, planning out where you want to be, it can be good, but it's never going to turn out that way word for word or exactly how you thought it would. So I don't know. I think planning is valuable, but especially in your sense, it seems like there's no way of predicting it, which is the best.
5 years is a long time.
It is a long time.
5 years. I'm 20 years old right now. If you asked me when I was 15 what I wanted to do, I probably would have said a pilot,
right,
or a rich finance guy,
right.
And those are two things that I don't want to do anymore.
Right.
You could ask me 2 years ago what I wanted to do, and I probably would have said I want to be in investment banking, or I wanted to be a paramedic for a while too. Like, things changed. I would have said a different answer 6 months ago than I would today. So I think it's all about just embracing change, right?
Absolutely.
Realizing we're young. You and I have the opportunity to be able to pick things up. If we don't like it, stop. It's much harder to do when you're 40, 45 years old.
Absolutely.
Embrace change while you're young and act on it. So
it's a great piece of advice, man. The last thing that I would want to ask you, kind of from the more personal side, but you can relate it to business too if you want, is being a sophomore, is there anything that you would change about your experience so far, maybe as a freshman or maybe this year, that you would, if you were to do it over again, what would you change? Or maybe I'll just let you answer that. I'm not going to add any more.
In college, no.
Okay.
And honestly, people ask me if you could redo high school, would you? And I made a lot of mistakes in high school, but I learned so much out of them. So it's like, yes, I would change some mistakes I made, but no, I also wouldn't, because I learned a lot out of them.
Right.
Same thing with college. It's the same answer. Is yes, there's things that I regret doing. Yes, this club was a waste of my time. Yes, this group of friends the first semester was a waste of time. But everything happens for a reason. We learn from every single thing. So I wouldn't really change anything.
I love that answer.
I love to see where I am today, and I continue to grow every day. And I think it's due to all the past experiences.
Absolutely.
So I don't regret anything.
I love it.
I wish maybe I got a little more involved at the very beginning of my freshman year. Everyone comes into college. Most people come into college like, hey, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
I do think I could have even been a little more ahead of the curve had I lessened down on my fun a little bit, but I don't regret a thing. So
Yeah, and I think to you it also seems like it's always a balance, right? How can you balance the fun with running your
correct.
business and really creating ideas and then also the schoolwork? And so, like you said, time management is a huge skill to have. But beyond that too, it is incredible what's happened just in the last 4 months. Just talking about going back on how quickly things can change. 4 months and you've already seen an idea that you just thought of become real and now is generating sales. So, I mean, you really never know. The next 2 years, it'll be very exciting to see what happens for you. But with that said, we'll go one more personal question. What has been your favorite memory here at UT that you've experienced so far, and why would you pick that memory?
Oh, I wish I could have prepared for this one. Honestly, you know, I had a really good memory 2 days ago. I ran the half marathon.
Dude, there you go.
It was hell
Yeah.
running it, but I felt so good afterwards. Like, it was the first time I had ever done something like that. I was
Hmm.
proud of myself. I didn't stop to walk once, and I'm not a runner. I didn't really train much for it. I wanted to prove to myself, like, I've had laziness problems before, and I'm trying to really snap out of the laziness because I know if I want to really unlock my full potential, gotta cut out the laziness,
Mm,
right? And I realized, like, this could be something where I know I'm gonna want to stop. I know I'm not gonna want to do it. I know I'm gonna want to walk, and I didn't. So I was really proud of myself for that. So honestly, that's one of my greatest memories so far.
absolutely.
Besides that, yeah, I think that's a good one. I
That's a
mean,
great
and I
one.
have some solid memories with some of my buddies. All of us just hanging out, having a good time together. So
It's very similar to what Alex said because he ran the LA marathon
he did. He
and he
ran
did
the
it.
full marathon.
He
I
ran
only
the
ran
full
the half.
marathon, but he was like, he's had some time to do that. He did it for the same reason. You know what I
Just
mean?
prove to yourself, like, there's no excuse for me to be a bum and be lazy.
Yeah,
If I can like, if I put my mind to something, I can do it. Why should I
absolutely.
be wasting time, right?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people that I know are getting into the running scene, and I think it really is a great mental challenge. And then again,
100%.
proving to yourself that just whatever you think you can do, you can go out and do it, and there should be no reason to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's good advice for any student in whatever they're pursuing. But the last segment we're going to talk about is kind of the recap on leadership. I want you to think about how would you define leadership, and coming into college, was that something that you had in mind as a goal for yourself or not?
I've always wanted to be in a leadership position,
Mm,
but not your typical leadership position.
mm-hmm.
I was never interested in student government. I was never interested in being a frat president. Never in that leadership aspect. I see leadership as being able to encourage and motivate people to become better
Mm,
in any sort of aspect. Physical aspect, which I could use. I don't really hit the gym much, but a physical aspect, a mental aspect, a school aspect, just being able to, like I think a leader is being able to encourage someone to be better than myself.
mm,
I find it so fulfilling when my friends are doing not better than me, but we're all peaking together, right? And I think
absolutely.
a leader is someone that encourages that. So, and besides that, I think it's someone that, like I said, is able to take charge and able to delegate without being that guy that is so bossy or is always telling people what to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, coming in as a freshman, how did you and did you push others to be better, and how did you do that if you did, or maybe this year too?
You know, I haven't done as much of it as I say and as I wish I had, especially my freshman year.
Mm,
But I think I've done a relatively good job at being able to. I don't know. For me, it's always been I like pushing others, especially my friends, to be better, and I
Mm-hmm.
love it when they push me. I love it when my friends call me out on my bullshit, right?
Yeah.
If I'm being an asshole, I like being called out for it because
Mm-hmm.
I would do the same for other people. So I'm not gonna give you an exact example
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, when did I push my friend or when did I push some random person, but I will say, like, I love it when it's reciprocated. When I'm encouraging people, they're encouraging me back. And I guess if you do want an example, one of the biggest things that I've realized over the time is a lot of people have asked me, how do I do this? How do I start a business? How do I act on an idea? And I always encourage and tell people the same steps, right? It's be bold, be true to yourself, believe in yourself, and start these things. And I see that as leadership,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging people to take a chance, go out on a limb. So
I love that answer. And I think what was I'm blanking on it. What was the first part you said again about being a good leader?
the
Building other people up.
building other people up, especially friends and whatnot, and encouraging them, but also being able to take feedback, take encouragement
Mm-hmm.
from other people. I mean, some of my best friends in the world have called me out
Yeah.
on a lot of times, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of that because it's really helped mold me into a better person. I mean, my best friend right upstairs calls me out all the time for being an asshole, for doing things that aren't the best.
Mm.
And I love it because it helps me change when other people are calling me out for it.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I was going to touch on is the aspect of honesty too. Like leaders do not beat around the bush. You know what I mean? They find a way to say it respectfully.
Correct.
But like if you have an issue with somebody, a leader is going to tell you what's wrong and how to fix it. That's the delegation as well.
I think that's another huge thing is being able to give critical feedback
Mm,
without it being like brutally honest critical feedback without being mean. I
right.
think there is a way to do it. It's very challenging, but a great leader does an incredible job at that.
And being able to, like you said, take it both ways too.
Correct.
So
It
it's
needs to be reciprocated.
right because if it's just because you might have a leadership status does not mean that you are perfect in your own means. So if someone that is theoretically under you comes to you and says, "Hey, actually, I didn't like how you handled that," like you need to be able to respond as a leader in that sense as well. So I love that going both ways. That's a good thing to touch on as well. But the last thing that we're going to end off on, the last question is really based on leadership development and how the next class, the class of 2030 coming in, or the class below us, the class above us, it does not matter how people can begin to become better leaders themselves. How can they begin to be the ones giving the critical feedback or receiving the critical feedback or taking the first step in starting a business or encouraging other people? Like how can people begin to do that and start off as a leader?
I think I'll give a couple pieces of advice that I have.
Yeah.
It's only me, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think the biggest thing is, again, staying true to yourself. Don't put. There's so many people that put on these fake
Mm.
smiles and laughs and everything. Be true to yourself, right? And understand and have confidence in yourself.
Mm.
If you This is a flaw, but also a good thing that I have about myself is I always think I'm right. It comes in handy quite often.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't come in handy quite often, but more than not, if you're confident in yourself, that creates this. It creates in itself its own, I guess, leadership esque just presence, right? Confidence in yourself, knowing like, hey, being firm in your thoughts and actions. That's a big one I would encourage. Another thing too, which that we really didn't touch on that I was terrible at in high school and
Mm.
I've gotten better at over the years is building relationships with people and valuing every single relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge one that especially as a incoming freshman you could really learn on and continue to grow. And I mean, you did a great job of this. Like I find it so like I'm so impressed when people reach out that I haven't heard from and they're like, "Hey, hope all is well. Was thinking about you." It's my favorite thing to do to others. My favorite thing when people do to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think even something as small as that goes a huge way. Whether it's someone you just met, whether it's someone you met the night before, hey, it was great to meet you last night.
Absolutely.
Following up is so big in today's day and age. It's so building a relationship is so valuable. I mean, having a connection with someone is more valuable than money, more valuable than time, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So just valuing every single relationship you meet or that you have. And I'm not talking about girlfriend, boyfriend, best friend. I'm talking about your professors, your classmates, your fellow ambassadors, your roommates across the hall, some kid you played pickleball with. If you follow up, you make effort to show people that they matter to you. I mean, it's like I said, more valuable than anything.
Right, and I think because so many people don't do it, again, that in itself is leadership. You do.
Correct.
Max, that is
You gotta interview yourself one day. I mean, like I used you as an example. You texted me earlier. Hey man, hope all is well. Looking forward to tonight. The amount of people that don't do that type of thing, don't follow up, don't text people beforehand, looking forward to it. People like you stand out in this world, so I think that's a huge trait of successful people.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and more than anything, I appreciate you taking the time to come speak with me today. I mean, I know things are on the rise, man. That was no pun intended. Things are on the rise. All right, I like that. But seriously, thank you for taking the time. I know that you have a ton going on, and I think this was a really, really great episode. A lot for them to take away, a lot for me to take away. So thank you.
I appreciate
And
that.
before we get out of here, go ahead and please plug your stuff. Tell them where they can buy your products. Tell them about any social accounts you would love for them to follow, anything like that.
Yeah, if you look up, I guess just for Rise, if you look up Rise, RASE, Alarm app on Instagram, that's our socials. The link is in the bio to purchase one. That would be appreciated. But besides that, also LinkedIn, Max Gallinek.
There you go.
I love LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is wonderful.
Than Instagram, so.
Hey, that's the app for connections, bro.
So,
So, hey, well, I appreciate you. And for you guys that did get to the end of this episode, we are thankful for you as well. And make sure that you guys like, subscribe, comment, and make sure to stay tuned for stay tuned for the next episode, of course. But the Clips channels, we're going to be posting a lot from this because he dropped a huge insight bomb on us today. So with that being said, that's another episode of Unmuted, everybody. Thank you, and we're out.